Spencer Sterling's champagne flute dangles empty as crimson liquid streams down Darian's chest. Someone call the rental company. This waiter needs a replacement. The ballroom erupts. Cell phones rise, cameras flash. Darian stands motionless, humiliation burning hotter than the wine stains spreading across his rented tuxedo. Preston Sterling strides forward, manicured fingers extracting a $100 bill. He tucks it into Darian's pocket, then pats his cheek twice hard. There's your trouble money. Know your place. They don't know. He's not staff. He's Darian Freeman, Nexus Technologies' heir, future Chief Innovation Officer, and as of tomorrow, the man who controls their $900 million future. Darian won't create a scene tonight. He'll orchestrate their downfall tomorrow. 2 hours earlier, Darian Freeman stands before his apartment mirror, adjusting the bow tie on his rented tuxedo. His fingers tremble slightly, not from nervousness about the clothing, but from the weight of responsibility. Tonight marks his first high society appearance representing Nexus Technologies. His phone vibrates. Dad flashes on the screen. The Sterlings will be there. His father's voice comes through, direct and businesslike from Tokyo. Their investment could accelerate our Asian expansion, make a good impression. Darian nods, though his father can't see him. I know, I've studied their portfolio. This isn't about portfolios, Marcus Freeman says, his tone softening. They respect power, not potential. Remember what I taught you. Value is in character, not capital. Darian recites. Exactly. Trust your judgment. This partnership is your call to make. Darian ends the call and gazes at his reflection. Despite his father's success, Marcus raised him with deliberate humility. No trust fund, no nepotism. Darian earned his position through merit. Starting as an intern, working 18-hour days, developing their revolutionary processor, and now stepping into the role of Chief Innovation Officer. At the gala, Darian observes the ostentatious display from the entrance. Crystal chandeliers, gold flatware, champagne flowing like water. The Sterling family holds court near the center, Preston the patriarch, flanked by his children, Victoria and Spencer. They critique guests' attire and stage whispers that carry just far enough to humiliate without seeming intentional. When Darian approaches to introduce himself, a security guard steps forward. Staff entrance is around back. I'm a guest. Darian produces his invitation. The guard examines it skeptically before stepping aside. As Darian nears the Sterling's circle, Preston glances his way, then whispers something to Spencer. Both chuckle. New money? Preston mutters, just loud enough for Darian to hear. Standards aren't what they used to be. Darian retreats to observe from a distance. He watches Spencer berate a young waiter over champagne temperature, reducing him to stammered apologies. Victoria trips a busboy accidentally, then laughs when dishes clatter to the floor. The staff move with tight smiles and fearful eyes like prey animals sensing predators. The Sterlings mock a nobody tonight, unaware he'll decide their billion-dollar fate tomorrow. The crowd migrates toward the auction stage as the gala transitions to its fundraising phase. Children's education, the supposed cause behind tonight's excess. Darian finds a seat near the back, content to observe. The auctioneer, a former television personality with 2 white teeth, presents the first items: luxury vacations, celebrity meet and greets, exclusive club memberships. Darian remains silent until a modest lot appears. A weekend at a local vineyard complete with private tasting. 500, Darian calls out, his voice measured. The sum is reasonable, the cause worthy. Spencer Sterling turns in his seat, eyes narrowing on Darian. 5,000, he counters without hesitation. Darian considers. Then 5,500. Spencer stands, champagne flute dangling between manicured fingers. Perhaps stick to items in your price range. 50,000. He winks at the crowd. Appreciative titters follow. The auctioneer's gavel falls with uncomfortable haste. Sold to Mr. Sterling. The next item appears on screen. First commercial partnership rights for Nexus Technologies quantum processor. The room stills. This isn't a luxury trinket. It's industry dominance, technological superiority, market transformation. Preston Sterling rises slowly, deliberately. 1 million, he announces, staring directly at Darian as if issuing a challenge. Darian remains perfectly still. His phone vibrates in his pocket. A text from his father. Trust your judgment on partnerships. Your call to make. Remember our values. During the intermission, Victoria Sterling approaches Darian. Champagne flute extended. You work at Nexus, right? I thought I recognized you. Darian accepts the drink with a nod. Yes, I do. Entry level. Her smile doesn't reach her eyes. I lead the processor development team. Darian begins. Victoria laughs, cutting him off. Adorable. We're actually meeting the Freeman heir tomorrow, the CEO's son, the actual decision-maker, not staff. She sips her champagne, eyes scanning the room for more important connections. I should go. Good luck with your career. Darian smiles politely. I hope your meeting goes well for everyone involved. Oh, it will. Victoria tosses back her perfectly styled hair. My father always gets what he wants. Every dismissive word seals their fate, though they won't understand why until tomorrow's meeting. Dinner service begins with theatrical flourish. Silver domes lifted in unison, revealing artfully arranged portions that prioritize presentation over sustenance. Darian navigates toward his assigned table, tucked in the far corner, away from the Sterlings and other influential guests. Spencer intercepts him between tables, a glass of red wine swirling dangerously in his hand. Their shoulders brush. The accident happens with practiced precision. Wine cascades down Darian's chest. The white shirt beneath his rental jacket transforms to crimson. Conversations halt. All eyes turn. Someone call the rental company. Spencer's voice carries throughout the ballroom. This waiter needs a replacement. Laughter ripples through the crowd, hesitant at first, then building as attendees realize the victim lacks the social capital to require their sympathy. Phones emerge. Photos snap. Darian stands immobilized, the cold liquid seeping through layers of fabric to his skin. Preston Sterling rises from his table, approaching with the slow, satisfied stride of a predator. He reaches into his pocket, extracting a crisp $100 bill with deliberate showmanship. He tucks it into Darian's breast pocket, then pats his cheek twice, the gesture one would use to discipline a dog. There's a little something for your trouble. His voice drops, meant for Darian alone. Know your place next time. Security appears at Darian's elbow. Sir, perhaps you should. He's with me. The voice belongs to an elderly woman who materializes beside Darian. Her posture radiates authority despite her small stature. Eleanor Vance, she adds for the security guard's benefit. The name works like magic. He retreats immediately. She guides Darian away from the spectacle toward a quiet alcove. The Sterlings have always been that way. Old money, rotten attitudes. She studies his face. I knew your father when he was starting out. Marcus would be appalled by their behavior. You know who I am. Darian dabs at his ruined shirt with a napkin. Of course. The Freeman eyes are unmistakable. Eleanor smiles. They have no idea, do they? Darian shakes his head. I'd appreciate your discretion until tomorrow's meeting. Eleanor's eyes sparkle with mischief. I wouldn't miss that for the world. Across the room, the Sterlings celebrate their dominance. Preston holds court, voice carrying. Once we control that processor technology, we'll crush our competition. The Freeman boy will fold. They always do. They lack the killer instinct. Darian excuses himself to the restroom, where he changes into the spare shirt kept in his car for emergencies. He studies his reflection, his father's eyes indeed, and remembers Marcus Freeman's words. Our technology should empower those who will use it responsibly. His phone rings, his father checking in from Tokyo. How's the gala? Marcus asks. Educational, Darian replies briefly, recounting the evening's events. A long pause. What are you thinking? I'm thinking we need to reconsider who we partner with, Darian answers, voice firm. I trust your judgment, his father says simply. You have my full support. Wine stains clean easily. The Sterling's true colors have permanently revealed themselves. Darian drives home in calculated silence. Streetlights strobe across his face as he navigates away from the Sterling estate. His knuckles don't whiten on the steering wheel. His breath doesn't quicken with anger. The classical music playing softly continues uninterrupted. Only his eyes, those unmistakable Freeman eyes, betray the machinery of consequence now in motion behind them. The humiliation doesn't matter. Not personally. What matters is what it revealed about the Sterling's character, about how they'd treat Nexus employees, about how they'd wield the processor technology his team spent years developing, about who they truly are when they believe no one consequential is watching. His apartment feels stark after the gala's opulence. Darian doesn't bother with lights. Standing by the window, he makes 3 calls in succession. First to Nexus's executive team. I need comprehensive reports on Sterling Industries, labor practices, environmental compliance, financial stability, everything. Tonight, sir, it's almost midnight. His assistant protests gently. And we have a 9 a.m. meeting that will determine the future of both companies. Darian counters, I need it now. The reports arrive within the hour. Darian scrolls through documented evidence of corners cut, safety violations hidden, employees silenced, former workers alleging toxic environments, whistleblowers discredited, small companies bullied into submission or bankruptcy. Each swipe of his finger reveals another layer of rot beneath the Sterling facade. His second call goes to legal counsel. Prepare termination clauses for any potential agreement with Sterling Industries. I want maximum protection for our technology and staff. Are we expecting problems? The lawyer asks. I'm ensuring we're prepared for all contingencies, Darian replies. His final call connects him to Tokyo again. His father listens without interruption as Darian provides complete details of the evening's humiliation. They showed you who they are, Marcus Freeman says finally. Believe them. I do, Darian confirms. Their empire is built on intimidation and exploitation. As my successor, this is your call, his father reminds him. Whatever you decide, I'll back you completely. Across the city in the Sterling mansion, Preston gathers his children in his study. Crystal tumblers of scotch clink as he toasts their success. The Nexus deal is practically signed. He announces their CEO is still playing the humble visionary in Tokyo, leaving his precious son to handle negotiations. Perfect setup that nobody we humiliated. Spencer laughs. Classic power move, Dad. Preston nods approvingly. Perfect example of why people like us stay on top. Connections matter more than competence. Spencer scrolls through his phone, showing his father the photos of wine-soaked Darian. Sent these to our PR team. We'll leak them after the contract signing. A little reminder of the natural hierarchy. Victoria sips her scotch. Tomorrow we meet the Freeman heir and wrap him around our finger. Another trophy for the collection. Back in his apartment, Darian stands at his window, looking toward the glittering Sterling Tower dominating the skyline. Inside that building, thousands of employees fear daily humiliation from people who view power as a weapon rather than a responsibility. His decision crystallizes into a silent vow. The Sterlings will never touch his family's technology or people. By sunrise, Darian holds all the cards. By sunset, the Sterlings won't even be in the game. Nexus Technologies' headquarters gleams in the morning sun, its curved glass exterior reflecting the city awakening around it. Darian arrives at 7, 2 hours before the scheduled meeting, pristine in a tailored suit that costs more than his entire wardrobe. Today isn't about humility. The executive team assembles in the conference room. Coffee steams from porcelain cups. Pastries arranged on silver trays remain untouched. Tension charges the air. 2 contract options. The chief financial officer examines the identical folders placed at Preston Sterling's designated seat. "I don't understand." "Insurance," Darian explains, straightening his father's company pin on his lapel. "The first offers partnership under our standard terms. The second—" His voice trails off as he glances out the window. 3 black SUVs pull into the reserved parking spaces below. The Sterlings have arrived 15 minutes early, a power play meant to unbalance. Darian smiles thinly. "Let them wait in reception for exactly 14 minutes. Then bring them up." The Sterlings make their entrance like visiting royalty. Preston's custom Italian shoes click authoritatively across the marble lobby. Victoria's designer perfume announces her presence seconds before she appears. Spencer scrolls through his phone, periodically chuckling at something on the screen. "Coffee?" Preston demands of the receptionist without looking up from signing in. When she returns with a steaming cup, he takes one sip, then grimaces. "Is this the best you have?" "The CEO's son will be with you shortly," she responds, professional smile unwavering. "I bet he makes us wait on purpose," Victoria sighs, examining her manicure. "These tech types always play power games to compensate for their social awkwardness." "Did you see this?" Spencer turns his phone toward his father, displaying the wine-stained waiter photo already circulating on several gossip blogs with mocking captions. Preston's laugh echoes through the reception area. By noon, we'll own the future of computing. Inside the boardroom, Darian receives a final email, the complete background report on Sterling Industries. Their $900 million valuation rests on projected earnings that depend entirely on securing cutting-edge technology like Nexus's processor. Without it, their empire stands on quicksand. The receptionist's voice comes through the intercom. "The Sterlings are ready, sir." Sterlings. Darian straightens his tie, centers the contract folders, and nods. "Send them in." The doors swing open. The Sterlings enter. Business smiles firmly in place. They freeze mid-step as recognition dawns. "Good morning," Darian says calmly. "I believe we've already met." Their expressions shift from confusion to horror as 3 generations of wealth suddenly hang by a thread. Preston recovers first, political reflexes kicking in. His expression cycles through shock, calculation, and false warmth in under 2 seconds. He forces a laugh that sounds like glass breaking. "Darian, what a misunderstanding last night." He steps forward, hand extended as if nothing happened. "We had no idea you were—" "The waiter," Darian finishes, voice level. He doesn't take the offered hand, or the CEO's son you're here to negotiate with. Spencer's fingers move frantically across his phone screen, desperately trying to delete the photos already circulating online. Victoria's perfect posture crumbles slightly, her shoulders curving inward as if to make herself smaller. Preston pivots smoothly. "Your humility is remarkable. Most heirs would have announced themselves immediately." He slides into a chair without waiting for an invitation. "That's exactly the kind of leadership we respect at Sterling Industries. Your father must be proud." Darian doesn't acknowledge the compliment. He activates the wall screen behind him. Technical specifications, market projections, and implementation timelines appear in sequence. He presents Nexus's revolutionary processor technology with clinical precision, its quantum architecture, its energy efficiency, its market-transforming potential. Our technology represents a paradigm shift, Darian explains. Companies that implement it will dominate their sectors for at least 5 years. Those without access will struggle to remain competitive. The Sterlings lean forward in perfect synchronization, predatory instincts overriding their earlier discomfort. Preston's eyes reflect dollar signs. Victoria calculates social capital. Spencer envisions crushing competitors. We're prepared to offer exclusivity for the first year, Darian continues, sliding a folder toward Preston. All the terms are outlined here. While Preston reviews the contract, Victoria attempts damage control. I've always admired the Freeman family vision, she offers, voice honeyed. Your father's rise is legendary, and now your innovations. She trails off as Darian's expression remains impassive. Preston looks up from the contract, beaming. These terms are acceptable. We can sign today. Before we do, Darian interjects, I'd like to discuss something from our background research. He pulls out a file containing documented reports of Sterling's labor violations, environmental negligence, and predatory business practices. This gives me pause. The temperature in the room seems to drop. Preston's smile hardens. Industry standard practices, he dismisses with a wave. The cost of staying competitive in today's market? I understand, Darian replies. That information certainly informs our decision. He takes back the first folder and slides forward the second one. This is our revised offer. The second contract isn't a partnership offer. It's an extinction-level event disguised as legal language. Preston scans the new document, professional mask slipping with each paragraph. His complexion reddens from collar to hairline. A vein pulses visibly at his temple. This is outrageous. He slams the contract down. These terms would give you oversight of our internal operations, mandatory ethics training, and a complete restructuring of our management. Those are our conditions for partnership, Darian states, voice remaining measured despite the room's rising tension. My father fully supports this position. Victoria snatches the document, eyes darting across the text. Her perfectly applied makeup can't hide her growing panic. You can't possibly expect us to agree to this. You're right, Darian agrees. The first genuine confirmation he's offered. I don't expect you to agree. This meeting isn't about securing your partnership. It's about informing you that Nexus will be partnering exclusively with your 3 largest competitors instead. The words land like physical blows. Preston's face drains of color as he calculates the implications. Without access to Nexus's technology, Sterling Industries becomes obsolete overnight. Their inflated valuation will collapse. Investors will flee. Their empire, 3 generations of wealth and influence, will disintegrate. You're making a mistake. Preston's voice drops to a threatening whisper. The Sterlings have friends in every industry. 1 word from us. About what? Darian interrupts. About how you treated someone you thought was beneath you. Please share that story widely. Spencer, silent until now, slams his fist against the polished table. This is personal. You're destroying a billion-dollar company over a spilled drink. No, Darian corrects. I'm choosing not to empower people who've demonstrated how they use power. The spilled drink just showed me who you really are. Preston stands abruptly, chair scraping against hardwood, his final tactic. Raw financial power. Name your price. Everyone has one. His eyes narrow. Or does Daddy need to approve that too? Darian rises to meet him, eye to eye. My father taught me that some things aren't for sale, Mr. Sterling, like integrity. He reaches into his pocket and places Preston's $100 bill on the table. I'm returning your tip. The meeting is over. The Sterlings came to acquire technology but failed to recognize the most dangerous innovation in the room, Principled power. The Sterlings gather their belongings in stiff, mechanical movements. Preston's shoulders remain rigid with suppressed rage. Spencer repeatedly loosens and tightens his tie, as if it's strangling him. Victoria's manicured fingernails tap an anxious rhythm against her leather portfolio. The door opens. Darian's assistant enters with practiced efficiency. "Sir, your father is on the line from Tokyo. The Thornton Group, Rivera Enterprises, and Fujimoto Technologies have all confirmed their participation in the Joint Development Program." Darian nods, revealing nothing in his expression. "Perfect timing. Please inform my father that we'll announce the collaboration at today's press conference as planned." The Sterlings freeze mid-motion. "Press conference?" Preston's voice cracks slightly. "Yes." Darian checks his watch. "In 1 hour, my father and I will jointly announce our strategic partnerships and our new industry ethics initiative from our Tokyo and New York offices." He meets Preston's gaze directly. "You're welcome to stay and watch. The industry is about to change direction." As the Sterlings move reluctantly toward the exit, a familiar figure appears in the doorway. Eleanor Vance stands blocking their path, her diminutive stature somehow filling the space with authority. Preston's face contorts with confusion, then dawning comprehension. "You two know each other. Eleanor was my doctoral advisor at MIT," Darian explains. "She recognized the potential in my processor design when I was still a graduate student." The truth crashes down on the Sterlings with devastating clarity. Darian isn't merely the CEO's son, the heir to Nexus. He's the actual inventor of the revolutionary processor technology, the architect of the innovation they've desperately pursued. The realization transforms their understanding of last night's humiliation from an amusing power play to an existential business catastrophe. "And I introduced him to his father's board when they were looking for innovation leadership," Eleanor adds with a smile that doesn't reach her eyes. "The tech world is smaller than you think, Preston." Darian moves to the wall screen, activating a presentation none of the Sterlings had seen before. The processor technology isn't just another innovation. It's a complete paradigm shift. The screen displays integration paths across multiple industries, revealing the technology's true scope. It will become the industry standard within 18 months. Companies without access will become essentially obsolete. He advances to the next slide. Furthermore, the ethics initiative I've developed establishes new standards for labor practices, environmental responsibility, and corporate governance across the tech sector. The screen shows dozens of company logos, major players in every technological field. These companies have already signed preliminary agreements to participate. "Compliance will be voluntary," Darian explains, his tone suggesting the opposite. "But companies that don't participate won't have access to the joint development platform." Preston's expression crumbles from anger to desperation as he realizes the true magnitude of his mistake. This isn't merely losing a contract. It's systematic exclusion from the future of the industry. "You can't do this," he whispers, voice stripped of its usual command. "I'm not doing anything to you," Darian responds evenly. "I'm building the future with partners who share our values. Your exclusion is entirely self-inflicted." Security appears at the doorway, not to escort Darian out, as they had attempted at the gala, but to remove the Sterlings from Nexus headquarters. Preston makes one final desperate attempt to salvage his crumbling empire. "Your father's board members are friends of mine," he threatens, voice rising. "They'll hear about this abuse of power, this vendetta." Darian doesn't flinch. The board unanimously approved this direction this morning after hearing what happened last night. They've seen the same reports on Sterling Industries that I have. His voice remains calm, but carries an unmistakable weight. No one wants to partner with a company that treats people, any people, the way you do. As security guides the Sterlings from the room, Darian turns to the floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. He activates his video call to Tokyo, where his father waits, ready to jointly announce the partnerships that will reshape the industry and exclude the Sterling Empire from its future. On a screen in the lobby, financial news already reports unusual activity in Sterling Industries stock, a slight tremor before the earthquake to come. By the time the Sterlings reach their vehicles, their phones will be flooding with panicked messages from board members, investors, and partners. By market close, hundreds of millions in value will have evaporated, all because they mocked the wrong waiter at a charity gala. As the elevator doors close on the Sterling's ashen faces, their empire has already begun its freefall. The press conference unfolds with military precision. On dual screens, Darian in New York and Marcus Freeman in Tokyo present a united front, despite being separated by thousands of miles. The Nexus logo pulses softly behind them both, a visual reminder of their technological dominance and family connection. Today marks a new chapter in technological innovation. Marcus begins, his authoritative voice carrying despite the distance. Darian continues seamlessly. Nexus Technologies is proud to announce exclusive development partnerships with Thornton Group, Rivera Enterprises, and Fujimoto Technologies for implementation of our quantum processor architecture. Financial analysts in the audience immediately begin typing furiously on their devices. These partnerships connecting 4 major players across 3 continents represent a seismic shift in the technology landscape. Darian doesn't mention the Sterlings directly when introducing the Industry Ethics Initiative. He doesn't need to. His emphasis speaks volumes. Technology is power, and power must be wielded responsibly by those who respect everyone, regardless of position or background. The corporate execution happens with breathtaking speed. Within 20 minutes of the announcement, Sterling Industries stock drops 15%, triggering automatic trading halts. When trading resumes, the freefall continues. By lunch, they've lost 40% of their market value. Nearly $360 million evaporated in 3 hours. Financial news networks switched to continuous coverage of the Sterling collapse. Analysts who'd praised Preston's business acumen that morning now dissect his company's structural vulnerabilities with surgical precision. Sterling Industries built their entire forward strategy on securing next-generation processing capabilities, explains a technology analyst on MarketWatch. Without access to Nexus's architecture, their product pipeline effectively becomes obsolete before launch. Another analyst is more blunt. They've been locked out of the future. Spencer's photo of wine-soaked Darian appears on gossip sites exactly as planned, but with a context the Sterlings never anticipated. Headlines transform overnight. Humility in leadership. Nexus endured mockery before business triumph. Tech prince in disguise, how Darian Freeman let actions speak louder than name. The $900 million mistake. Sterling's mocked the wrong waiter. Comments flood in supporting the humble CEO's son against the entitled billionaire family. The narrative writes itself. A morality tale for the digital age about judging people by their character rather than their clothes. At Sterling headquarters, chaos reigns. Preston barricades himself in his office, blinds drawn, refusing all calls except from board members and major investors, all demanding the same explanations he doesn't have. How did he misread the situation so catastrophically? How did he fail to recognize Darian Freeman? Why didn't their research team identify him before the gala? Victoria manages crisis communications with increasing desperation. Each statement she issues is immediately undermined by former employees, flooding social media with stories of Sterling's toxic culture, emboldened by the company's sudden vulnerability. They made me work 100-hour weeks. then fired me when I requested time off for my child's surgery, writes a former developer. Preston Sterling told me personally that ethics are for companies that can't compete on innovation, reveals a former executive. Spencer attempts damage control on the personal front, calling in favors from media contacts to kill the wine-spilling story. His efforts only amplify it. Each attempted suppression generates new headlines about the Sterling's attempts to control the narrative. By mid-afternoon, law firms begin announcing class action lawsuits against Sterling Industries on behalf of shareholders. The legal language is precise, devastating, materially misleading statements and failure to disclose significant business risks. At Nexus headquarters, Darian receives hourly updates on the fallout, but shows no satisfaction in the Sterling's destruction. When his assistant remarks on how quickly their empire is crumbling, Darian responds quietly, "This isn't about punishment, it's about consequences." The consequences continue mounting. Documents leak showing Preston instructed managers to work them until they break, then replace them. Internal emails reveal systematic suppression of safety concerns to meet production deadlines. Financial records expose accounting practices that bordered on fraud. Each revelation drives Sterling's stock lower. By market close, their $900 million valuation has contracted to barely $300 million with no floor in sight. Across the technology sector, companies rush to announce new ethics policies and workplace improvements. No one wants to be the next Sterling. The ethics initiative Darian introduced that morning gains signatories by the hour. Companies eager to demonstrate they belong on the right side of the new divide. Meanwhile, Nexus stock surges, adding billions to its market cap. Financial analysts upgrade their growth projections based on the strategic partnerships announced. Darian Freeman's name trends globally. Industry publications rush to profile the hidden genius behind Nexus's quantum architecture. The most devastating blow comes at sunset. The Sterling Industries Board calls for an emergency shareholder meeting to address leadership concerns and strategic direction. The corporate euphemism doesn't disguise their intent. Preston Sterling's reign is ending. In his Tokyo hotel, Marcus Freeman watches the financial bloodbath unfold on multiple screens. He calls his son as markets close. "You've transformed the industry in a day," he observes, voice measured. "It wasn't my intent to destroy them," Darian replies. "No, your intent was to protect our technology from misuse." Marcus pauses. Their destruction is self-inflicted. They built an empire on exploitation. It was always going to collapse. Darian stares out at the New York skyline. The Sterling Tower's lights dimmer than usual against the darkening sky. Does that make this right? "Right and easy aren't the same thing," his father answers. "Power reveals character, theirs and yours. I'm proud of how you've wielded it." As night falls, Sterling Industries' legal team works frantically to prepare for the shareholder revolt. Their strategy centers on a single desperate argument. Darian Freeman pursued a personal vendetta against the Sterlings, abusing his position to orchestrate their downfall. What they don't yet understand is that character assassination requires your target to have vulnerable character. By morning, they'll discover their final miscalculation. Darian Freeman's reputation for integrity makes him virtually unassailable. The empire the Sterlings spent generations building continues its collapse through the night. Board members privately contact headhunters to explore new opportunities. Employees update resumes. Partners quietly initiate contract exit clauses, all while Preston Sterling sits alone in his office, staring at a $100 bill returned to him by a waiter who turned out to be holding all the cards. The Sterlings prepared for every business contingency, except the cost of their own character. Morning brings no mercy to the Sterlings. Their family name, once a symbol of power and prestige, now dominates headlines for all the wrong reasons. Sterling board revolts, emergency shareholder meeting called. Ethics scandal deepens, more employees speak out against Sterling regime. Market massacre, Sterling Industries loses 68% of value in 24 hours. The Sterling family arrives at their own corporate headquarters like unwelcome intruders. Security guards, the same men who once jumped at Preston's smallest gesture, now check their identification cards with exaggerated thoroughness. Executive assistants who previously competed for Preston's approval now avoid eye contact, scurrying away when the family approaches. The boardroom, Preston's former kingdom, has transformed into a tribunal. Board members and major shareholders sit in grim formation, faces set with the unique expression of wealthy people confronting significant financial loss. The Sterling family portraits that once dominated the walls have already been removed, leaving conspicuous empty spaces. The board chair, formerly Preston's golf partner, opens the meeting with brutal directness. Sterling Industries has lost 68% of its value in 1 week. Our partnerships are dissolving. We face multiple lawsuits from shareholders, former employees, and environmental groups. We're here to determine next steps. Preston projects confidence he doesn't feel, his voice booming as if volume might compensate for his precarious position. The market is overreacting to temporary setbacks. We'll secure alternative technology. We've already initiated discussions with— "No one's taking your calls, Preston," interrupts the board chair. I checked. "The Freeman vendetta is personal, not business," Preston insists, desperation leaking into his tone. "We can challenge the Nexus partnerships on antitrust grounds. My legal team is already—" "Your legal team resigned this morning," another board member cuts in. "All of them." A woman rises from the far end of the table, unfamiliar to the Sterlings, wearing the understated expensive clothing of the truly wealthy. "Actually, it appears to be both personal and business," she announces. "I represent Meridian Investment Group. We've received a purchase offer for our shares from a consortium led by the Thornton Group." The room erupts as more shareholders confirm similar offers, all above market value despite the stock's collapse. "This is a coordinated hostile takeover," Preston shouts, face purpling. The board chair looks grim. The offers are contingent on leadership changes. "You can't remove me," Preston snarls. "I built this company. I am this company." The final blow comes from their own legal counsel, not the resigned team, but the corporation's outside firm. A silver-haired attorney presents evidence that Preston and his children violated fiduciary duty by misrepresenting the company's ethical compliance and hiding lawsuit settlements from the board. "The board has legal grounds for immediate removal," he explains dispassionately. "The evidence suggests willful misconduct. A vote is called. The results are overwhelming. The Sterling family is removed from all operational roles, maintaining only their significantly devalued shares. Preston's kingdom, built over 3 generations, collapses in a 15-minute vote." As they leave the boardroom, fired from their own company, they pass a television in the lobby. The screen shows Darian at the opening of a new Nexus research center focused on ethical technology development. He looks directly into the camera, though his words aren't aimed at the Sterlings specifically. "We build technology to elevate humanity, not exploit it." Outside, reporters swarm the disgraced family, microphones thrust forward, cameras flashing. Preston's legendary self-control finally shatters. He shoves a cameraman, creating one final damaging image of Sterling entitlement. The footage will lead evening news broadcasts worldwide. In their limousine, silence reigns. The privacy partition remains closed, but the driver can still hear Spencer's whispered question. "What do we do now?" Preston has no answer as they drive away from the empire they lost. Not in years, but in seconds. The $100 bill he'd given Darian as a tip sits in his pocket, returned to him like a curse, now worth more than his remaining dignity. While the Sterlings descend into irrelevance, Darian ascends to reshape an industry in his ethical image. 6 months transform the technology landscape completely. Darian leads a panel discussion at the Global Technology Forum, the industry's most prestigious gathering. CEOs from major companies, including the restructured Sterling Industries under new leadership, listen attentively as he outlines ethical implementation frameworks. Graphs behind him show dramatic improvements in workplace satisfaction, environmental compliance, and innovation metrics across participating companies. The data is unambiguous, Darian explains, laser pointer highlighting correlation curves. Ethical business practices don't merely feel better, they perform better. The audience includes Eleanor Vance and other industry veterans who nod approvingly. Near the back, Marcus Freeman watches his son with quiet pride, having transitioned to an advisory role after 30 years at Nexus's helm. Industry news outlets that once fetishized growth at any cost now feature regular ethics index updates. Headlines track companies joining the initiative. Tech titan Philips joins ethics initiative. Stock jumps 12%. Revolutionary standards. How the Freeman framework is transforming tech. Ethical technology. Trend or new normal. A respected business journal publishes a comprehensive analysis demonstrating that companies joining the ethics initiative outperform market averages by significant margins. The article concludes, "What began as moral leadership has become sound business strategy." At Nexus headquarters, Darian mentors young engineers from diverse backgrounds. In the company's innovation lab, he sits with a group of recent graduates from underrepresented communities. "How do you handle discrimination in this industry?" asks a young woman, her expression suggesting personal experience with the question. Darian shares his gala experience without bitterness, his tone matter-of-fact rather than self-pitying. "People will judge you by their standards, not your worth." He tells them, "Your job isn't to match their standards, it's to transform them, not through arguments, but achievement." Former Sterling employees find positions at companies within the new ethical framework. Exit interviews reveal improved work environments and mental health across the board. Productivity rises. Innovation accelerates. Employee turnover plummets. One emotional interview features a former Sterling manager who speaks with trembling voice about the previous regime. "I was forced to mistreat my team." Preston would say, "Either they break or you do." "I thought that's just how business worked." He straightens, eyes clearing. "Now I know better. I can succeed without destroying others." The processor technology revolutionizes the industry as predicted. Rather than creating monopolies, the joint development platform fosters unprecedented collaboration. Companies build upon each other's innovations, creating applications that would have been impossible under the old competitive model. A brief news segment shows Preston Sterling attempting to launch a new venture. Potential investors listen politely to his pitch, then decline with practiced regret. Doors that once opened automatically for the Sterling name now remain firmly closed. The family hasn't just lost an empire, they've become a cautionary tale taught in business schools. Meanwhile, Darian's approach gains institutional momentum. Universities revise business curricula to include ethical leadership modules. Venture capital firms incorporate ethics scoring in their investment criteria. Regulatory bodies adopt standards from the initiative as compliance benchmarks. The systemic transformation continues, unstoppable, now spreading beyond technology into adjacent industries. 6 months after the humiliation that changed everything, an unexpected visitor requests a meeting with Darian. Darian sits in his office reviewing quarterly reports. Nexus's growth continues to exceed projections, but the metrics that truly satisfy him appear on the second page. Industry-wide improvements in labor practices, environmental standards, and ethical compliance. The revolution he sparked has taken on a momentum beyond any single company or leader. His assistant's voice comes through the intercom. "Sir, there's someone here without an appointment. Victoria Sterling." Darian pauses, considering. "Send her in." Victoria enters, transformed from their last encounter. Gone are the designer clothes, the calculated posture, the rehearsed charm. She wears simple business attire, her previously perfect hair now cut in a practical style, her expression stripped of artifice. "Thank you for seeing me," she begins, remaining standing until Darian gestures toward a chair. "I'm not here on family business." "Why are you here?" Darian asks, direct but not unkind. Victoria explains that after losing their positions, each Sterling family member responded differently to their downfall. Preston retreated to their remaining estate, bitter and unchanged, obsessively plotting impossible comebacks. Spencer fled to Europe to escape the scandal, living off distant relatives while posting carefully curated social media suggesting his life remained unchanged. "And you?" Darian asks. "I started listening," Victoria admits, eyes steady for the first time. "To former employees, to industry leaders like you and your father. I realized our family built wealth by devaluing others. We measured success in dollars, not impact." She started a small foundation focused on worker rights and education access, funded by selling her personal assets. She doesn't ask for forgiveness or opportunity, only a chance to learn from her mistakes, and perhaps eventually make meaningful amends. Darian studies her, searching for manipulation, and finding none. "True power isn't about controlling others," he says finally. "My father always taught me it's about elevating everyone around you. The strongest leaders create more leaders, not more followers." Later, at a small coffee shop near Nexus headquarters, Darian chats with the barista, the same young man Spencer Sterling had berated at the gala for bringing the wrong champagne. Now he attends college on a Nexus scholarship, part of Darian's quiet initiative to support service workers pursuing education. "Any regrets about how things played out with the Sterlings?" the student asks while making Darian's coffee. The business blogs still talk about it. The waiter's revenge, they call it. Darian considers this. "I don't celebrate their downfall," he says finally. "I celebrate the system becoming more just." "There's a difference." The student hands him his coffee with a smile. "On the house today, boss." Darian insists on paying. "I value the work you do," he says, leaving a generous tip. Outside, Darian passes a newsstand featuring a business magazine with him and his father on the cover, headlined, "The Freeman Legacy: How Father and Son Changed Tech Culture." He doesn't stop to look at it. The true measure of his success isn't on magazine covers or in stock prices. It's in the former Sterling employees now thriving in ethical workplaces. It's in the scholarship students building futures that once seemed impossible. It's in the shift from technology as a weapon of market dominance to a tool for human advancement. As Darian walks back toward Nexus headquarters, his phone buzzes with a message from his father. "Character builds empires. Cruelty destroys them." Darian smiles slightly, tucking the phone away. The lesson wasn't new. His father had taught it through example his entire life. The difference was that now an entire industry had learned it too, not through preaching, but through consequence. Some lessons must be experienced to be understood. The Sterlings learned this the hard way. Darian hopes others won't need such expensive tuition. If you enjoyed this story of justice and transformation, make sure to hit the like button right now. These stories of poetic justice take time to craft, and your support keeps them coming. Want more satisfying tales of karma and vindication? Subscribe to Beat Stories for a new, powerful narrative every week that will leave you feeling both entertained and empowered. Don't forget to share this video with someone who needs to be reminded that true power comes from character, not position or wealth. This story shouldn't be the exception. It should be the last time it ever happens. At Beat Stories, we turn one moment of injustice into a call for change. Subscribe to help make that call louder and longer lasting.